Testing. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. Live now. Everyone should be able to hear me. I'm checking my audio levels in my studio monitor, and it appears that I am able to be heard. Awesome. Is this working? Yes, it is working. Can you hear me okay? I just fired up the live event here. Got Sean Coonery in the studio. Sean Coonery, the big Maine Coon cat. How's it going today, Drone Age? While everybody trickles in here, I'm going to go ahead and share this by way of social media. So I encourage everyone else to share this live event. And for people that aren't able to attend live, it will become a playable video after the live event concludes. But you can comment live, and that gives me the opportunity to interact with you face on video live during the live event. Let me just share this out. I'm just putting it on my various social media sites. IrixGuy's live show is live now. Okay, so I'm putting it out on social here. This will take just a minute or so. Again, this was not a scheduled event. I've gotten to where I don't schedule my live shows. I think it's more fun just to pop up and get going, you know. Let's see. Okay, got it on my Facebook fan page. I'm going to send it out to Twitter here. YouTube live. YouTube streaming. Live. IrixGuy live. So share this with everyone you know. It's going to be hopefully be a fun show. We got a lot of people trickling in here. Sean Coonery is waiting patiently. He's like, hey man. He said, come out with your Maine Coon cat questions. Any questions you have about a big Maine Coon cat? True story. A lot of people have asked. It's funny on social. They're like, man, that cat's fake. That cat's not real. He's real. He's right here. And he will respond to your questions. Face on camera. Paws on the mouse. Almost finished with this. Okay, got it out on Google Plus. I think we're covered from the end here. Let's see what's up. Thanks for the great drone footage. Cool, man. Appreciate that. That's one of my most popular items on this channel is the drone. Like anything else, you know, I like technology that's not yet. What am I trying to say? Well, in comparison to computers, think back. If you're an older individual, think back to the Microsoft DOS days, and then you moved into Windows. And, you know, back in the day, you didn't have plug-and-play devices. You had to deal with IRQ and DMAs on the actual cards when you were installing a modem, a hard drive, an IDE controller for your hard drive, etc. So it's a completely different ball game. And I like things that are not yet completely understood or completely explored. And drones obviously fall into that category because, you know, if you've subscribed to my channel, you may have heard me say that we're in the bag cell phone days of drones, meaning that, you know, cell phones used to be a big bag and the network was poor quality, the service charges were astronomical, the battery life was unacceptable. But like any other technology, it's just going to continue to evolve. And we've already seen, with drones already, we've seen the adoption of obstacle avoidance and, you know, what's next. I mean, it's fascinating. Especially when we got the GoPro Karma right around the corner. That ought to be, hopefully it will not disappoint. Yeah, IrixGuy, where in the South are you from? The Carolinas? Well, I'm kind of all over. One of the decisions that I made was to not be confined to a certain area. I love the South. Great food, great people, but just taking the leap, the entrepreneurial leap, and just going out and just kind of being a nomad. Being nomadic to some degree. It's a lot of it's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of people. It's like anything else, anything business related. It's risky. When you take that leap and decide that you're going to. And by the way, this YouTube channel of mine is just a hobby. It's a way to relax and have a good time. But I try to do as much with it as I can outside of the daily grind. But I'm from all over. Hi, I've got a Maine Coon here with me as well. She's a black beauty. Awesome. Sean Coonery says hello. What's your Maine Coon cat's name? He will personally communicate with your cat. Your thoughts on 360 cameras, the best ones. Actually, that's interesting you asked that. If I had it inside the studio with me, I'd pull it out right now, but stay tuned for some more videos. 360 cameras, they're good, but they're not quite there yet. And by saying that, what I mean is that to get, for example, so if you're using a standard camcorder or mirrorless style camera, DSLR, etc., you're probably going to get 1080p or 4K, and it's probably going to be true 1080p or 4K. Unfortunately, with 360 cameras right now, and I'm getting you a link right now for the one that I use, and you can check out the videos on my channel too. Like I said, I've got a lot more that I'm going to be posting. I kind of stepped away from the 360 briefly, but I'm going to get real heavy with it here soon and get some fresh content out for everyone. But it's here's the link to the one that I use. It works, but again, don't expect jaw-dropping image quality, because when you're doing the 360 degree spherical, that camera quality is going to be degraded. The exceptions on the market today are the ones like you got the GoPro, the multi-camera rigs. We're talking ones that are potentially $5,000 plus, which is astronomical for that technology at this point in time, in my opinion. What I'm looking forward to with the 360 cameras is when we have something like a GoPro, an all-in-one unit that's, maybe a few $100 that can produce true 1080p or true 4K quality in spherical format that doesn't look degraded when you watch it. So, it's a lot of fun. And in my was saying all that, I'm not trying to downplay the 360, but if you're a hobbyist and you want to tinker with something that's not quite there yet, to edit the videos, you gotta. And I'm going to post some videos on this, but I use Final Cut Pro 10, and it's not a streamlined process right now. If you want to add text, if you want to go ahead and add customizations to the videos that are filmed, it's such a new technology that there's just not a lot of consumer accessible. And when I say that I'm saying that from a cost perspective, there's not a lot of that out there right now that one can pick up and create a video for YouTube that has an intro and text and or other images. But it's going to evolve. But if you want to get into it, it's a lot of fun, and it may be advantageous for people to become involved with it now, so that as the technology does become more refined and does become more affordable, that they could potentially put someone ahead of others that are also interested in a 360 degree spherical video space. Her name is Bagheera. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Hey, Sean Coonery. Bagheera is on with us. Bagheera is a black Maine Coon cat. You're a silver Maine Coon cat. And actually, Sean Coonery's silver. He's silver, black, gray, and he's got some brown on his feet. So he's kind of he's got all types of colors in him. He said, that's cool. He said, I got fans. He said, shout out again to Bagheera. Have a perfect day. Oh, and he also said, stay tuned for Maine Coon Mondays every Monday. You'll see a new episode. So we love your videos and your mate, Sean Coonery. Thank you so much. Thank you, and thank Bagheera. Awesome. I pronounced it. Thank you. Let's see. What's the furthest you've took your drone out over water? Now keep in mind that I always fly a line of sight to be safe and responsible. With that said, in certain scenarios where I've been out over open and empty ocean, I have tested the capabilities of the Phantom 3 Professional and the Phantom 4. And I will say that if the operator was not careful, and this is just factory configuration, no modifications or anything to it, if the operator wasn't careful, it would be extremely easy for someone with less experience to take it to exceed visual range. I mean, these things are incredibly long range out of the box. So that's that's just something I wanted to throw out there. What's the latest on the short film? Actually, thanks for asking about that. I've got a lot of projects going concurrently, and when I say projects, not just projects here on the channel, but projects with my outside of the channel entrepreneurial pursuits. But I want to get the short film going. Now, my biggest challenge with it has been, obviously, for any sort of film, even if it's an indie type film, an independent type film, there's a significant amount of cash required. Even if you have a lot of the camera operators and whatnot, if they donate their time, there's still a significant amount of cash involved to get it going. And it's something that I want to do, but I want to do properly. And I don't mean it's got to be a Hollywood-style production quality, but it needs to be better than IrixGuy's Venture Channel quality. So it's moving along. It's something I feel that worst case scenario, it's like, whoa, I created a short film. But in best case scenario, it's like, whoa, I'm at Sundance and here's my film. You never know, unless you try, you never know. So I mean, I want to make it happen, so just stay tuned. What do you think of the solo shot? Okay, so the solo shot, for everyone that's not familiar with it, it's basically a device that people can use, and it's tripod mountable. And if you're traveling without a film crew, and say you're surfing or you're doing some sort of activity where the camera would need to track you, it can track someone with a camera. So it's like having your own film crew. I've personally never used one, but I would be curious to see if people have and what their thoughts are in regards to the solo shot, because it looks like a cool piece of technology. Now, for someone that hasn't used a solo shot, something I have noticed is that they seem to be releasing newer revisions of the solo shot quite rapidly. And I don't know, again, having not used a solo shot, I don't know if that signals that, they're quickly adding new features, or are they doing that because they're making up for less than perfect functionality in the older revisions. So be curious to know what y'all think, and even if you haven't used one yourself, have you heard from others and what was their experience? So yeah, we've got a lot going on here. I know there was just keep the comments and questions going, and this show is about everything. It's everything that's, obviously let's keep it clean, and let's stay clear of profanity and questionable topics, but it's just a pop-up show. And something I wanted to talk about, the testing of the new drone. It was funny, if you haven't watched the video, a lot of people have. I posted a video actually last night, and it was flying a drone, and it, IrixGuy testing the new drone, and I got a lot of feedback across the board. Actually, the feedback that I received for that video was overwhelmingly negative, and I think it's because there wasn't really a lot revealed. And that's a cool thing about, when you operate your own YouTube channel, you can make decisions, and as the producer and as the as camera operator, everything, and sometimes you put something together and you don't know what to expect until it goes out there. But it's like anything else on this channel. Stay tuned. My intent with that post was to be kind of funny and kind of out there. If you watched it, you'll probably see an Easter egg. It's like a weird event that happens while I'm flying the drone. And it's, that was not staged. That actually happened. That thing, or just watch the video and see for yourself. But it walked from the left side of the screen to the right, and I have no idea what was up with that. But yeah, so that's what Drone Age just mentioned here in the chat. He said, so who's cutting loose with the drone? Do you sell your old Phantoms, or are you keeping them for sentimental value? Well, there's really not a lot of sentimental value. I know I've only crashed one, and obviously I was in a safe and responsible location. I crashed my Phantom 2 Vision Plus, so one of those is... I got the drone, but I mean it was junked. So I sold it broken for parts, and unfortunately someone was able to buy that, and hopefully it worked out well for them. I mean, it could have been a cool project to try to repair it, but it was in really bad shape. I've got the Phantom 4 right now. The Phantom 4, and keep in mind the Phantom 3 Pro and the Phantom 4, as I mentioned previously, it's still hard for me to suggest, unless the price was the same, it's still hard for me to suggest to recommend rather the Phantom 4 over the Phantom 3 Pro, because I've gotten great performance out of both. The Phantom 4 is my current drone, though. As you may have seen on my channel, I did do I gave a competitor's product a spin a while back. It was the Typhoon H, and even though it looked really cool, and I liked the concept of the retractable landing gear and the rotating camera, I just could not get any decent video quality out of it. And the deal breaker with that for me was the remote control. The micro SD card slot on it was defective, so I couldn't update the firmware on the controller. So it was a disappointment. But right now it's the Phantom 4 that I'm using. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to my channel for the next drone, and I think it's going to shock everyone. I don't want to say any more about it, but I think it's going to be a positive. So you're saying this is a new drone that you have early access to. It's pretty clear that you're using a DJI remote in the video. Oh no, I'm not saying anything. This video this video that was posted, the one that I posted yesterday, it's more or less just a it's curiosity builder for what's coming. But good catch, because the controller did seem to mimic a DJI controller. On your videos, I saw you around a beach area. Do you sail or motorboat? Well, I'll be frank, I've sailed a little bit, but sailing is not something I'm very proficient with. I can manage a power boat a lot more easily. Sailing is something that a lot of people they've sailed their entire life, and I've recently just gotten into it. So it's not something that I'm comfortable enough to say that I'm an avid seller, because I'm not. But a powerboat, yeah, take me anywhere. I get out and run around in that. So Sean Coonery sitting here. That's what's funny. Back to the Maine Coon cats. This Sean Coonery's a Maine Coon, and a lot of people believe that a Maine Coon has raccoon in them, and they actually don't. That's just a myth. But what a lot of people also believe is that they have lynx, which a lynx is it's like a bobcat, except they typically live in Canada. And the lynx, and you can't see Sean Coonery's tail right now because he's got it off the camera, but the lynx has a really long tail. And then also, check out his videos and you can see, but he's got tufts of fur on his feet, and he's got the long tail, and he's got the lynx tips on his ears. And what that's made for is that when he's out in the snow, that it keeps the snow out of his ears, and then the tufts of fur on the feet increase the surface area so he doesn't sink in the snow. And then the tail, the long and ridiculous looking tail, that's so he can wrap up in it and stay warm when he's sleeping. But he's an indoor cat. He never goes out. But we did bring Snow inside at one point to introduce him to Snow, and he didn't like it. So, but yeah, and that's the thing about a Maine Coon. Their personality, as you can see here, they like to be very. They like to be around people. They're almost like they're almost like a dog-like in nature, but And they talk a lot. He's not talking right now because he just doesn't feel like talking. But someone says, "Oh, actually, vegan. Okay, I've got a friend on Facebook who has a lynx as a pet. What in the world does a lynx eat? That must be what does a lynx eat? And does a lynx use the litter box? How does that work? That is interesting." And again, for everyone who doesn't know, a lynx is it's a wildcat. So, let's see, what else do we have here? What's everyone excited about? What would everyone like to see with the GoPro Karma? The GoPro Karma that's expected to be out very soon. I have no idea how it works. Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out. Yeah, I can't imagine living with a lynx. It'd be crazy. Whoa. Sean Coonery's swatting at me. He likes whoa. But he never puts his claws out. I mean, unless he's really irritated, he's not gonna scratch. But he loves being on camera, as you can tell. And see, now he's sitting up. Yeah. So yeah, this is what's up? SoCal Seth buzzing in. Sup? Maybe if you adopt a lynx as a baby, then it might work. You never know. Yeah, that'd be an interesting pet to have in the house. Is that a Bombara from Turks and Caicos? Huh. Hello. Actually, this is just a cola I got right now. Bombara, for everyone that doesn't know, is an awesome rum. It's they say it's a spirit of Turkey. It's a spirit of Turks and Caicos. So if you ever go to Turks and Caicos, it's, in my opinion, one of the best rums down there. There was another one. What was the other brand that was down there? It was kind of in a generic looking bottle. It wasn't Turk's Head. Turk's Head was the beer, but it was another rum. I think it was called Turk something. Yeah, welcome aboard. Turks and Caicos is awesome, and that's something I wanted to say. We've got fans dialing in from Turks and Caicos right now. That is an absolutely epic Caribbean destination. If you ever have a chance to go, great food, great rum, just really good people. What are your other entrepreneurial pursuits? Well, everything from it's hard to go down the list. I mean, a lot of my pursuits are technology oriented because that's kind of my wheelhouse is that sort of stuff. But that being said, it's Tortola is super nice. The British Virgin Islands, I love that place. That's the thing. Turks and Caicos and the Virgin Islands are completely different because in the BVI and the USVI, you've got a lot more mountainous terrain, and Turks is really flat. And an interesting fact, and I'm assuming it's a fact, it's what I've heard, Turks and Caicos had no native palm trees. So when you see a palm tree on Turks and Caicos, it was brought in. Got a question about a green screen. Let me flash this up. Now keep in mind, this behind me is not a green screen. It's a wall that I painted green. But let me shoot you a link here to a green screen kit. I'm just pulling it up here for everyone. Yeah, here's a, and I've got an article that I wrote here as well. If you want to check it out, it'll go into more depth. So that's a green screen kit you can get that's quite affordable and it works quite well. What I have here is a wall that I painted green. It was from a paint store called Sherwin-Williams, and the paint was it was called Straightforward Green. And it's a latex paint, and it's flat. So I just put a couple coats on it, and then I installed 6500K LED daylight bulbs in the ceiling, so it lights it up. And then I've got these umbrella lamps, so it, when I'm doing the chroma key, it can work quite well. It's just a matter of, getting all of your lighting perfected, and once you really get into it, and then you establish what's called a key light, a light that's in front of you. Once you get all the light and the shadows fixed, you can really create some convincing green screen effects. And I can do live chroma key too, but I didn't set it up today. I didn't want to do that. Welcome aboard, Trevor. We got Trevor in here. Let's see. David says, do you use that Apple laptop to do your editing? And how long does it take you to do the 4K editing? So, this Apple laptop is just a base, and you can find it. The model that I'm using, you can find. Let me get a link here. It's nothing fancy, but it'll do the job. It'll do 4K editing. But keep in mind, this laptop doesn't have a 4K display, so I can edit the video. But then when I go in and do the, if I want to preview it, I'm not going to be able to preview it in 4K on this. I'll have to watch it on my desktop iMac, which has a 5K Retina display, or from my smart TV that's a 4K smart TV with YouTube app. So either of those devices I can watch in 4K. And that's what I do. I do the editing. So for field edits, I use my MacBook Pro. And for the studio, I use the iMac with Retina 5K display. It's just faster. And again, with the 5K display, I can then view the exported 4K video clip natively from that computer. Without, in this scenario, with the MacBook Pro, I could edit it and I could upload it to YouTube, but to view it back in true 4K, I'd have to view it from the iMac with Retina or the 4K smart TV that I use. So I do all my editing in Final Cut Pro 10. Actually, my video editing workflow, if anyone's curious, that I use for 4K, this not only explains my workflow, but it also references the equipment that I use. I've got that all in an article here. Let me send that link out to everyone. Be just a second. There we go. So yeah, that's the equipment and the software that I use for my editing. Trevor says, any suggestions for editing 4K on Windows? Well, I know a lot of people that like Adobe Premiere, and they use it within Windows. I know people that use Sony Vegas. I think Sony Vegas does 4K now. But personally, I just use Final Cut Pro 10. If you're a Windows user and you're thinking about getting into 4K video editing, depending upon your experience level, you may find it to be more user-friendly to go with a Mac. Now, the thing is, if you've already got a PC monitor, a USB mouse, and a USB keyboard, you may be able to jumpstart the process by getting an affordable Mac to see if you like it or not. And that would be a Mac Mini. If you check the link that I just posted, let me make sure I've got it listed there. Yeah, I do. I've got a Mac Mini listed there. So basically, the Mac Mini, if you're not familiar with it, it's bring your own mouse, bring your own keyboard, bring your own monitor. But OS 10, Mac OS 10, the operating system, comes with an app called iMovie, which comes with the OS. It's basically a not dumbed down, but a less feature-filled version of Final Cut Pro 10. So it's a great way to start and to learn video editing on a Mac. And then once you master iMovie, then you're going to get to a point to where you're going to want to do better chroma key, better green screening. You're going to want to post videos possibly that extend 5 minutes in duration. There's a lot of limitations that iMovie has that you can then upgrade to Final Cut Pro 10, which price changes obviously, but I think it's maybe $300. But it's the best $300 or so that I ever spent. And then you're going to want to get compressor, which is what, after you edit your videos, you can then use compressor to compress it so that you've got a smaller file when you upload it to YouTube, it doesn't take as long and it doesn't consume as much of your bandwidth if you're on a internet plan that monitors your monthly upload and download usage. Did you ever set up that video for your in-the-field travel setup? Actually, it's funny you asked, because that's on my to-do list, and I think you're who asked me to create that. And that video is going to include, not just how I film in the field, but after I film, how do I take the video from my cameras, and how do I organize it in a way to where I can edit it in the field on this MacBook Pro 10, but then when I return to the studio, I can seamlessly add it to I've got a huge external storage array. I can move it over there. So that's something I've got on the to-do list. So thanks again for following up. I want to do that video right, so it's going to take a lot of editing and time to create, and it's something I've got at the top of my list because it is something that I feel would benefit a lot of people. Which filter kit do you suggest for the bright conditions we have on the islands? Well, I can tell you, when I was shooting in Turks and Caicos, I was just using an RX10. It was an RX10 Mark II, and as far as the filters were concerned, I didn't even have all I had on it was a UV filter, but it was a high quality UV filter that I was using on it. And then also I was using an AX100, and I just had a UV filter on it. I had the lens hood obviously on both of them, but I felt I was able to get pretty good photo and video quality there. But yeah, this is that RX10 II that I was using in Turks, and you can see the third item there. That's the UV filter I was using. It's a higher quality UV filter than a lot of them that are on the market. But if you really wanted to make the colors look really cool, and you didn't want to enhance or to adjust the saturation levels, etc., within editing, post production, you can get what's called a polarizer, and I would go with that same brand. They make a really cool polarizer, and that'll really make, if you're wanting to get a lot of color out of your photos or your videos, that's a great way to do that without doing a lot of work in post. Hey, welcome. Thanks again, Vegan, for coming, and Bagheera, Sean Connery, is say goodbye to Bagheera. He said, "Hey, see you later." He's getting up. He's standing up. He's got manners. He's like, when people leave, you got to stand up and be proper about it. So thanks again, and stay tuned for some more Sean Connery, the Big Maine Coon Cat videos very soon. So yeah, we've got a lot of interesting stuff that's coming to the channel. And any suggestions for $1,000 and under 4K camera for B-roll shots? Well, now keep in mind the A6300 is great, but you're gonna have to have you can use FE lenses, Sony FEs, which are full frame, but it's going to use them in APS-C mode. Now, if your primary camera is a Sony Alpha that's either a full frame or just an APS-C E-mount, then that could be a good option. But to be frank with you, as far as for $1,000 and under 4K camera, I would try to. The A6300 is great, but again, you're gonna have to. It would be in your best interest to buy a good lens for it. So the price is going to go up there. So I would only do it if your primary is a E-mount camera. But the RX10 II, the one that I just linked a moment ago, that's probably a little bit over $1,000, just a hair over. But for a bridge camera, the quality it's blown my mind. Now it's not up there to the A7R2 level, but it's pretty close. Yeah, Bill made a good point. Polarizer will also take away glare if you're around water, snow, or glare-producing circumstances. So Cal said, I tried looking for that Bombora Cuba Libre. Here, sadly, no luck. That stuff was good, but I will tell you, I would rather, to be frank, I would rather just have Bombora and some sort of cola to go with it. Or just, a few rocks and maybe a splash of water. But, I mean, Cuba Libre is good. Don't get me wrong, Throw them on ice and put them in your little beach cooler. It's pretty cool. Any idea when you'll be testing out the new drone? Obviously, my answer is as soon as possible because, I mean, as I mentioned previously, did I just lose connection here? Let's see. I hope I didn't. I'm looking in the studio monitor. Yeah, hopefully very soon. I mean, the Phantom 4 is great, but it's time for something new and something, just something new and exciting to tinker around with. The microphone that I'm using is this one right here. Let me get the... Speaking of that, while I load this up, how does the audio quality sound? Is it pretty good? I know this is live. Is it pretty good audio quality, or is it kind of crummy? Or so here's the mic I'm using right here. And what's funny, this mic, and you can get it in more pro grade levels. This one I'm simply using by way of USB. So I'm here on my MacBook Pro rather, but I'm running this. All the live streaming I'm doing right now, I'm doing from my iMac with Retina 5K display. So I've got an extended USB cable, which is actually pretty cool that the extended USB cable hasn't degraded the audio quality. These are really good microphones. If you're looking for something that's affordable yet, in my opinion, pro type quality, they're really good. Now I've got there's another one over here. Let me grab it. This thing right here is awesome. And I haven't really put it through its paces yet, but this is the Rode NTG2. And this thing is, I've got it equipped now so I can plug it into my A7R2. And it can be powered by battery. I think it's a AA battery. This screws off and you can put the battery in. Or if you're using it with an XLR rig, you can use phantom power, which means you don't have to use a battery. It just gets its power from the camera. But this thing is really good. I got the windscreen on it. It's not a Rode windscreen. It's a third-party windscreen, but it works really well. And if you want to get really fancy with these, you can get some kind of blimp, and those things are just supposed to be acoustically great. What happens when you try to do the link? Does it... Well, I tell you what, if you go, anyone that's listening, if you just go to snagbear, snagbear.com, go to snagbear.com and you can find all this. That's my website, and everything that I use or review, I try to feature on there. It just makes it easier when I'm talking about stuff. I can reference that site. I'm going to put this out of the way because it's going to drive the cat crazy. Yeah. So, yeah, I think there may be another. Let's see, there's black and silver, or maybe another color Yeti as well, possibly. And then if you don't want the USB one, you can step up to they've got like a Pro. I think they call it the Yeti Pro or something. That's got more connectivity options. Cool. Well, let's see, everyone. We're again, this was a live show, and it was unscheduled. But this will appear as a video that you can share and watch after the live broadcast concludes. And I plan to do another live show soon. I mean, it's, ultimately maybe it's something I can go with a semi-scheduled format, but being involved with as much as I am, it's often hard to pin down a day and a time when I'll have sufficient time to do a show, because I want to have at least a half hour, between a half hour and an hour, to devote to it and not have to deal with distractions. So you should try live broadcasting with your drone and talk. It records audio through your phones. Hey, that's an awesome idea. Suggestion from Brad there. Let me put that on my to-do list for a future episode. Well, that's about all for today. I appreciate everyone joining in. Again, this was not a scheduled event. Stay tuned for more. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, be sure to do so. It's youtube.com/IrixGuy. And be sure to follow me on all of my social media. I'm on Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Did I forget one? No, I think that's it. But check out my website, IrixGuy.com, and you can find all my social media links. And it's been fun, and look forward to another live show very soon. And Sean Cooner, you want to tell your fans goodbye? He said he really doesn't. He said he's had enough. So thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day.